Scoodly doodly doo, it's time for another Welch review. Scoodly doodly doo doo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Welch Review. Today, your hosts Sam and Stefan will be reviewing Archenemy.
Alright, so Archenemy stars Joe Manganiello as Max Fist. Now, you might know Mr. Manganiello from the DC's Deathstroke,
Yeah.
right? So he was, I believe he had a cutscene in the Josh Whedon version. I'm told he has a bit of a larger part from what I've read in the Snyder Cut that comes out on Thursday, the 18th of March. And he was also a stripper in the Magic Mike movies. All right, and he plays Max Fist in this one. And then you have Skyland Brooks as Hamster, Zoli Griggs as Indigo, Glenn Howerton as the manager. You might know Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
He plays Dennis, so like the main dude. So it's a very weird role for him, playing like a sleazy drug dealer in like a serious movie. Joseph D. Retman as Finn. Paul Scheer as Krieg. Paul Scheer was in that TV show The League. He also has a podcast called How Did This Get Made, where he watches bad movies with his wife and friend and co-star Jason Mantzoukas.
That's cool.
It's pretty good. Check it out. Amy Seimetz as Cleo, Jessica Allen as Melissa, and Mac Brandt as Decker. And this is based on a story by Adam Egypt Mortimer and Luke Passmore. And it was the screenplay is by Adam Egypt Mortimer, and it was directed by Adam Egypt Mortimer. Now, this is the first time I've ever heard of Adam Egypt Mortimer. Hopefully, it won't be the last. It's an interesting film. So I guess why don't you hop in and tell us a little bit about the plot there, Sambo?
Yeah, so the main story follows a man named Max Fist who was a superhero in an alternate dimension known as Chromium. Well, in the city of Chromium, which is basically just like sci-fi future Earth where people have superpowers sometimes. Mm-hmm. And he has the best superpower, which is his fist is real good at murder.
Real good at murder.
Yeah, so he punched a hole through the time-space continuum to stop his arch enemy, Cleo, who is also an important person, so it stopped Cleo, but it dragged him into the earthly dimension, and now he's a crack-addicted homeless man who is also an alcoholic. So he's one of our main characters. Our other main character, he's a young reporter. I can't remember his name.
Skyland Brooks. He plays, his character's name is Hamster.
So his character's Hamster.
That's a stupid name.
Yeah, Hamster's World. He says that like 8 times throughout the film, or like 80 times.
Yeah.
So anyways, Hamster, a young reporter, who's trying to get some leads on what's going on in the streets of his city, stumbles upon Max Fist, and basically starts reporting on him. And quickly, these two, Hamster and Max Fist, they become close friends. And he continues to report on Max Fist as he learns more of his interesting otherworldly background. And he tries to find Max Fist's secret lair on Earth to see if it's still there.
Crystal Cave.
Crystal Cave. Hint, hint, it's not there. It's like an old Best Buy now. Then the plot starts to pick up. Hamster has an older sister.
Indigo.
Named Indigo, which is a color.
Which is a color. You got a rodent and a color.
Blue. Yeah, we got a rodent and a color. And a fist. And they all hang out. But Indigo and Hamster, their parents died when they were like young. So Indigo's been taking care of Hamster like most of his life, and as such has had to revert to selling drugs to kind of make it through. Now, while she's out making this one deal, she has to go and she has to like get some money for her like drug overlord. So she goes to this spot to pick up the cash, and the dude who she's supposed to get the cash from is a crackhead, and decides, hey, let's play Russian roulette. And she's like, oh, dang, this is gonna suck, I might die. She does it, she's fine, and then he does it and kills himself before he can give her the money. But then she finds the money and is like, what if I just keep it? Well, that doesn't go over well with her drug overlord leader, who immediately starts sending people after her, and Hamster. So Max Fist does, the superhero, the cocaine-addicted, crack-addicted superhero thing, and decides, I'm going to save these two. It's important to note that previously Max Fist had said that he does not believe in murder, but the first thing that he does when he gets the chance is he murders some drug dealers. And then that basically takes us on a wild ride where we eventually interact with his old nemesis, his archenemy, Cleo. And we get to know more and more about Max Fist and about how he might not actually be a superhero, or maybe he is. You'll have to watch to find out. What you will find out is that he's addicted to crack, and he thinks that it lets him see in between dimensions, and it definitely doesn't. But aside from that stuff, what'd you think about the acting? Who stood out to you in this film?
Oh, well, I guess if we're talking positively, right? Like, I don't feel like we've seen a lot of Joe Manganiello. As an actor, right? I feel like he made a couple flicks fast, right? And not always the star of the show. I think he's more known for being married to Sofia Vergara, who is like the very attractive mom on Modern Family.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
so I think he's more known for that than actually being an actor. So it was nice seeing him in kind of like this. To me, it felt like a gritty B movie from like the 80s.
Yeah.
Like it's like, we want you to be a superhero, but there's nothing in the budget for superhero special effects. So you're going to become a crack-addicted homeless man who thinks he's a superhero. And the crazy thing about this is there's a movie coming out with Sylvester Stallone called Samaritan, which is kind of like this, where he plays like a superhero who's gone into hiding and a kid finds him. So it's like Finding Forrester meets like Batman or something.
Yeah.
Which is going to be dope. But I like Joe Manganiello in this because like he really, I thought, went with this character.
He's super committed.
He's super committed to it. And like, his like wardrobe did a great job with him.
Yeah.
Right? Like what he was wearing, you believed it. You sympathized. You empathized with him because homelessness is a very real problem in America and as well as other countries. But he committed to the role, right? You believed his story, right? When he told, or maybe not believed it, but you felt sorry for him when he would say, like, I'll tell you my story if you buy me beer. Like, and it's not just Hamster he's saying this to, right? He said this to other patrons who've come in and out of the bar. We saw it a couple times in the movie, right? And you felt bad, right? Because on one level you think, okay, maybe he's lying. On another level you think, maybe he is just really depressed and down and beaten, and it's like no one's taking him seriously.
I think the other thing that's kind of cool about his character is, well, he doesn't necessarily see like a ton of character development. What they do, actually there is some. He like spirals into craziness the more and more you go through the film.
Yeah.
But what they do well in this film is they like drip feed you pieces of his actual backstory past his own self-glorification, and that information is basically supported by the actions that you see him take. Basically, you find out that in his world, I'm not going to give too much, but he was kind of bad at being a hero, and he was more famous for collateral damage. So it begins to make sense, like he was talking about how perfect he was and about how he never killed anybody and about how everybody loved him. But in actuality, he was famous for collateral damage, and in real life, he murders people all the time. Or maybe not real life. Well, yeah, real life.
Yeah.
And then he rationalizes it by saying, I don't have powers here. Like, I need to fight this way. They have guns.
Yeah.
I don't have my powers. I need to fight back the only way I can.
Well, he also rationalizes like doing crack because it helps him see access the cosmic blood, right?
Yeah.
Which is the source of his power. I think that montage where like he essentially suits up like the Punisher, snorts some crack, and then goes in and murders him. like, I thought that was a great montage. In no way do we condone drug use whatsoever, but...
Or crack-fueled murder rampages.
Crack-fueled murder rampage. But I like that concept for a movie, like a crack-filled murder rampage. I like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, it was well done. They shot it really well. Yeah, man, that's just really well done. That's really well said. Crack-filled murder rampage was great. I think Cleo, right? Amy Seimetz, right? When the brief times we do see her, right? And we realize, like, whoa. Like, some of the stuff he's saying is not, like...
Just crack.
Not just
Crackpot.
Yeah, it's not as wild. And you're like, she's been playing the long game, you know, building up an empire, waiting for the day when their paths would cross. Like saying she's been watching him and seeing what he's doing, right, without alerting him that she is in fact there in this Earth dimension.
Yeah.
So I think she played Sinister real well. We didn't see her a lot, which I think probably helped her character, right, in the whole shady organization she was going for. I thought Skyland Brooks' hamster sucked.
I thought that he was fine, but he also wasn't the main character. He's just who's moving the plot.
Maybe it's not him who sucked, so I shouldn't say he sucked, but I thought the whole idea, like, it seems like he's just some dude who videos and takes pictures of skating around, then goes into, like, the social media, it's like building Trendable, and was basically just like, yo, give me a job. And then they're just like, yeah, okay, cool, we'll just give you a job. Like, that's not how it happens. I think it'd be more believable if he was like somebody who is like, okay, I'm trying to put myself on the map, like he says he is, but he's starting his own thing, like through Twitter or Instagram, or like, I understand you can't use those things per se for brand purposes, right? Like those companies would have to like.
But they could have made Trendable just like adjacent to one of those.
Right, right. Instead of like him essentially walking into Facebook and saying, "Give me a job," and then just give him one. I'm not saying he didn't deserve the job.
That this is more like walking into like Vox or like some kind of like just news outlet.
Right. Okay. So what I'm saying though is,
I agree.
I feel like if you're going for the gritty thing, right?
But he is also just kind of like a freelance reporter. Like he's not.
I
like
get
it's not
that.
like he's like salary.
But it's also like you're trying to like.
I understand.
I didn't feel that Peter Parker vibe, right? Like, oh, I'm freelance. I just do this on the side. I felt like they rushed that, right? It wasn't like he had like.
I don't think freelance is his side gig. I think that's Peter Parker's main gig.
I'm not saying side gig. What I'm saying is, it's like they rushed Hamster getting this thing, right? This job, and I didn't believe that he actually like should have had that job. Like they didn't show like a backup portfolio. Like he didn't showcase anything. It didn't show us his real interest in what he was doing. Right? He just took a picture of some drug dealer, and it's just like I feel like they could have showed him trying to report more before meeting Max Fist, and I don't feel like they did a believable job of that.
Okay.
If that, and I'm sorry that was long-winded and it probably didn't all make sense, but I just don't feel like they showcased him doing what he says he wants to do more. And I think they could have done it better.
I can see that. I do think that it makes sense as a plot tool, and I don't think that it's necessarily a bad plot tool, because it's a good excuse for why he meets
Max Fist.
Max
yeah,
Fist.
No, I agree. I like that idea.
I can understand what you're saying, though. I also, I don't know, I wasn't really paying attention to Hamster a lot, so I guess you can kind of say that he wasn't, like, that important of a character. I mean, like, obviously he is, right? He is literally the reason why the entire plot moves. And I think that that's good, but this is a story about Max Fist. You know what I mean? So the fact that you can have a main character who is integral to the plot, move it along without distracting from the overall story, which is Max Fist, you know, fighting his archenemy.
Yeah.
I think that that's kind of skillful in its own way.
Well, it's
that
cool
being
'cause
said,
it
I
tells
don't.
two types of stories, right?
Him
helping them figuring themselves out.
I don't necessarily think that he's a bad character, though. I just don't think that he grabbed the attention of the film. But it is hard to compete with, like, crack murder rampage.
Well, yeah, that alone sells, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people want to see that. I just didn't feel like he... It's not that it's a good thing, but the people, it's like one of those things you don't want to look, but you look anyway. So, like, I guess if we're talking hamster, I would argue that Zoli Griggs and, like, the whole drug side of it,
Indigo?
right? Indigo, even Paul Scheer and Glenn Howerton, like, that whole shady organization, right, that Cleo has established.
Yeah.
I thought those guys did a really good job. Glenn Howerton's not someone I would picture being, like, a bad guy. He's kind of like that dweeby, sarcastic, like, jerk.
My only problem with Indigo is they went, like, super far into hipster vibes. They were like, how new age hipster can you be? You changed your name to a color.
I feel like they did the same thing
Perfect.
with Hamster, though.
Yeah, they did.
You know, and that part was, and maybe that's just us, right? But it's like, I didn't feel like I could connect with them as characters.
I don't think that I couldn't connect with them. I just feel like they went for, like, a very stylistic choice in how they wanted to portray their characters. I don't know if that always works.
No,
I
I would say it doesn't. But then again, like, there are scenes in this movie where, like, they go with some psychedelic type animation.
Yeah.
And it's like, alright, maybe that sounded good on paper,
But
but
it wasn't the best decision.
it wasn't the best decision here.
Yeah, generally blending, and I'm not talking about, like, Toontown or, like...
Looney Tunes?
No, like when they... Or, yeah, sure. Not talking... What's that one with Michael Jordan?
Space Jam.
I'm not talking Space Jam mixing, like, 2D and 3D. I'm talking, like, 3D and then there's a cut to some 2D stuff. Like, that typically doesn't work out that well.
I got you.
At least not in my own opinion. Maybe as an intro, but that's like it.
Well, I guess the difference, though, also, right? Like, this movie is, like,
Low budget.
low budget, you know? So it's not even like the psychedelic stuff looks good. So I guess maybe,
I
like...
didn't think it looked horrible.
It did look horrible. I mean, I don't know, man. I didn't like it.
Well,
I don't
you're
like it.
wrong.
Some people might say that. But, it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. They're not a bad movie. This was a film I was excited about. You know what I mean? I like the whole idea of a gritty superhero. Or I like that whole idea of, like, you know, is what he's saying true? You know, is he really a superhero or is he just like, you know, a homeless man on hard times?
Yeah.
Right? And I thought, like, Manganiello really committed to the performance, like we've said. So it didn't necessarily disappoint me, but I definitely think there could have been some other directions they could have taken it.
Yeah. Not the best film I've ever seen, but it's not bad. And if you want, like, a Punisher-esque sort of show that's also very, like, kind of trippy, this is a pretty decent place to get it. You know, it's not a bad film.
No, especially for, like, an original idea, right? Like, it's not tied to anything.
Low budget.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
You want to see a crack-filled rampage?
Brought to you by Joe Manganiello, and check out Archenemy.
This has been the Welch Review.
See you later.